Alright, well with the release of Lost Belt 7 Part 2, we have our first general pool AoE pretender added to the game in the form of Tialoc. Talama is our second AoE pretender in the game, the first being the well-known Oberon, but unlike Oberon, Tallulah feels more suited to being a farmer than Oberon does. Tequila has an okay stat for a 4-star, nothing terribly impressive, but it sits at 9,721 with foes. And Tostada's HP stat, on the other hand, is bulky enough that she can take some hits, sitting at 13,344. But no one really cares about stuff like that. What's really important, and all everyone really cares about, is can Toronto loop? Well, she can. But unfortunately, Trom cannot do it with Black Grail. Even with the 2004 Mystic Code, she only gets around 70% after Wave 1, which means she simply doesn't have enough to MP on the third wave. The good news, though, is that Tarantula is not tied to K-Scope. She is able to loop with 50% charge CEs and her Append 2, popular choices for those being, of course, Traces of Christmas and Magical Girl Sapphire, but other 50% charge CEs do work. The 4-star CE Imaginary Number attribute is a good replacement for Traces of Christmas if you don't have that. Speaking of looping, let's look at how her skills enable Theothexetine to I need to Google this, hold on. Speaking of looping, let's look at how her skills enable Thiothixine to loop. Her first skill is NyQuil Hittle Third Sun. It's a type of battery that we've seen a few times recently. It grants 30% charge and 10% charge per turn for 3 turns. In farming, this is effectively a 50% charge spread over 3 waves. On top of that, it has an additional effect of granting Tapioca a waterside battlefield effect. Totina Pizza Roll's second skill is Ouchiaoui Flower War, a charisma skill that has a unique effect that could prove useful in challenge quests or certain story fights. It grants 20% attack up, 20% crit damage, and sure hit to the entire party for 3 turns. On top of that, it actually removes the latest Guts buff from all enemies, and if it removes it, they are debuffed with a rather large 50% defense down. This is a niche effect, but 50% is quite strong for a defense down for 3 turns, and in challenge quests, I can foresee this being useful. Terminal's third skill is Metzliapan Lake Texaco, a rather strong multi-effect buff giving Tracer 30% quick up, 30% arts up, and 30% crit damage, as well as 2,000 damage cut for the entire party for 3 hits, 3 turns. For those of you keeping track at home, that means she has 50% crit damage so far. But wait, there's more. Tennessee has a passive that grants her 20% more crit damage on waterside battlefields. So essentially her first, second, and third skill combined give her a total of 70% crit damage. This is great because she works quite well with Summer Scotty, who does not grant any additional crit buffs outside of Buster Crit. More about Tamagotchi and Scotty synergy later, but on to her NP. Her MP is Omerito Techno Onichan, an AoE quick noble phantasm with 6 hits. When on a waterside battlefield, it grants her 20% NP gain up for that turn, and on top of that, grants her allies 20% NP damage for 3 turns, and has a 20 to 40% NP damage up on herself that lasts for 1 turn, that scales with overcharge. The party-wide MP damage, on top of applying waterside battlefield, combine together to give Trypticon some unique synergies that don't normally come up. Since the only other farming servant to give waterside is Summer Melt, who historically is just the worst to try and dual core farm with. 2 examples I can think of is using her with Summer Scotty and Nemo. An example for that is to say the event has a 50% charge CE, Thumbelina can MP 2 of the waves, and Scotty can MP 1 of them. If Scotty is the third, she gets a 50% damage up bonus thanks to the 220% MP damage ups and her own 10% due to being on a waterside battlefield. Nemo would also work here much in the same way, except this would allow his skills to hit their conditionals. Tabasco also, for some reason, has a passive that increases party members' arts performance by 8%, so that works in her favor with Nemo as well. Overall, I think that Tamamo no Mecha is a good addition to the general servant pool. Though the lack of being able to farm without starting charge is a little disappointing, overall she manages to be a decent quick farmer and may prove useful in the future. Also, Ascension 2 is the best, don't fight me on this.